On the 26th of November 2021, the World Health Organization designated the variant B.1.1.529 a variant of concern, named it Omicron. This obviously was on the advice of the World Health Organization's Technical Advisory Group on Virus Evolution. Now, this decision was based on the evidence presented to the tag VE that Omicron has several mutations that may have an impact on how it behaves. For example, on how easily it spreads or the severity of the illness it causes. We're going to try and summarize all of that with Professor Dhai. He's a specialist ethicist at the Office of the President and CEO of the South African Medical Research Council, also a member of the Academy of Science, South Africa. Professor Dhai, good morning, welcome to the program, and we do appreciate your valuable time.
Thank you for having me on, and good morning to your listeners as well.
Okay, a very serious discussion indeed. We know that this Omicron is a variant of concern. We've heard other world leaders saying it is a concern, but not reason to panic. Would you agree with that statement?
I I don't think we should panic under any circumstances. I think we should have reasoned responses. So, panic brings in anxiety and everything else. What I do think is we need to take the Omicron seriously, and we need to institute preventative measures as soon as possible. In South Africa, we've actually fallen very far behind in terms of prevention. We know that variants come across, and especially these variants of concern, when we are immunocompromised, when we don't have the ability to fight off the virus, etc. And the longer we have, the more people we have unvaccinated, the greater the chance of variants of concern emerging. And we've seen this lesson with the Omicron now. So I think we need to take this issue very, very seriously and go full steam in terms of prevention. That's the non-pharmaceutical interventions, the masking, the hand washing, the distancing, the physical distancing is really so important. And over and above all that is the vaccinations and to stay away from mass gatherings.
Okay. Let's look at the issue of, and I know that everything you've said is common sense. We need to be practicing all of that to keep safe. You talked about vaccinations, and I invariably ask any healthcare professional that I engage with on this show regarding booster shots, and I'm going to put it to you as well, because I do know that in other countries they are already starting their third booster shots. I also am aware that this has to be passed by SAMRC, but how far down the line are we regarding booster shots?
In terms of booster shots, we started again through the Sisonke trial for healthcare workers, and the MRC under the leadership of Professor Glenda Gray, started this whole process and came to the rescue and managed to get the J&J vaccines through donations as well to inject healthcare workers. It had to be done through a phase 3B project again, while the regulator worked out the its processes. Currently, SAMRC and the Department of Health are working, getting approval for the third Pfizer as a booster. Pfizer has just submitted its application for authorization of the third shot as a booster, and they're looking into the possibility of the second J&J as a booster as well. So that's work in progress at the moment.
So, Professor, let's look at the issue. I know there's a lot of concern by pregnant women wondering if they should be taking the third shot. They're worried about the safety of their unborn babies. That's the one question. And then let's look at, for example, if I've had the two Pfizer shots, would it matter whether I go as a booster when I am eligible? Should the booster also be a Pfizer shot, or does it not matter whether I take the J&J or any other shot? Would it be equally effective?
So currently what we have is, when it comes to the scientific evidence, we've got the scientific evidence for both homologous and heterologous boosters. So homologous is a J&J on a J&J and a Pfizer on a Pfizer. And heterologous is a combination of the Pfizer and the J&J. And it has been shown that the heterologous shots are also, quite helpful. Currently, the department is working on homologous boosting, and if we go through the, through the program, we're probably going to initially get the homologous booster until they get more scientific evidence and, to assist them with the heterologous boost. Because while there is the scientific evidence, there's still some questions about it. But I can tell you that the FDA has approved heterologous boosters. And this approval has come through basing its information on studies and NIH studies, a convincing NIH study that was done, and not basing its approval on a submission from the industry. And perhaps this is what our regulators should be doing, looking at how the FDA actually did its approval. What were the factors that it took into consideration? We cannot waiting for the manufacturers to be submitting applications for approval. Manufacturers are going to be, they're going to be very hesitant in terms of submitting for heterologous boosting, because clearly they want to actually promote their product.
Absolutely.
As soon as they start going the heterologous route, it means less profits for them.
Okay, for the layperson listening to me now, let's just explain that in very simple terms. I'll pose that question to you once again. If I've had the two Pfizer shots, do I still, once it's open up, still go for the Pfizer, or can I go for the J&J? And vice versa.
I would recommend you go for the Pfizer. I would recommend you just do what's offered on the program once it starts. So if the program offers the Pfizer on a J&J, then go for that. If it doesn't, then just go for the Pfizer on Pfizer or the J&J on J&J. I think just do what the program does. The most important is to have cover. Because look, we are going to, as the science develops, we will see we need to have boosters on maybe a regular basis, because we do believe that the virus is going to become endemic. So I would think just go for what the program offers. The most important is the program must start the boosting.
Absolutely. Okay, let's look at the issue around the pregnant women. When is it safest? At what term in her pregnancy can the woman go for a booster shot?
It's always advisable to avoid first trimester, that's up to the first 12 weeks, because at that stage, if there's going to be any abnormalities due to outside intervention in the fetus, it can occur then. So it's always advisable to avoid the first trimester. Any time from 12 weeks onwards ought to be okay.
Okay. What is the current knowledge about Omicron? And obviously, you scientists have been working long and hard on this issue. Is there anything more we know about Omicron, or only what is out there in the public space for now?
So all I can tell you is I'll qualify this in that I am not a scientist that works in the lab, and I haven't been part of that Omicron group, or that's the part of the scientists that worked on the Omicron. I can only tell you, talk to you from what I see being published in scientific journals and from what's available in the media. What we see is that, yes, it's a variant with multiple mutations. Yes, it's highly transmissible, and we're not sure whether it's highly transmissible because of the fact that it moves so fast, or it may be breaking through some of the cover from the vaccination. However, all we can say is, despite this, go and vaccinate, because even if Omicron breaks through vaccine protection, it doesn't break through total vaccine protection, because you would still find that, the vaccine, through its cell-mediated immunity, will protect one from severe disease and death. Because there's two ways the vaccine works. It works through the antibodies, immunity through that, it's called humoral immunity, and through cell-mediated immunity, which is through the cells itself and not through the antibodies.
Okay, so that's transmissibility. Do we know any more about the severity of the disease and risk of reinfection with Omicron? And here I'm talking about people who've previously had COVID-19. But subsequently have had their jabs, could they become reinfected more easily or less easily with Omicron because they've been jabbed, because they've been vaccinated?
So once again, it's really very early to say anything emphatically, because we're learning about Omicron, on the go. So Omicron was only discovered last week, announced last week, should I say, and we're watching what happens. But I think what we need to understand is that, and also to hear, some people are saying that it's causing less severe disease. Others are saying they're seeing more severe diseases, and they're seeing people, the admissions in hospitals actually increasing. So it's a matter of waiting to see how Omicron unfolds. In terms of previous infection and subsequent vaccinations, and could people still be infected? I don't know, but it is possible that they might be infected. However, if they do get infected, the infection would definitely be less severe.
Okay.
Or it ought to be less severe, because they do have the cell-mediated immunity as induced by the vaccination.
Okay, currently people who are presenting with Omicron, are they being treated with the same protocols as those in the past that were treated with COVID-19? And do we know if the treatment is effective?
So they are being treated the same way, and so you have those that are being treated as outpatients, the ones that are quite mild, and it seems that they are doing well. The ones in hospital, It's a wait and see because, they've just been admitted. So in terms of treatments being effective, we need to see. We need to follow up with, the number of hospital admissions, the stay in hospital, the death rate, etc. So it's still a matter of wait and see.
Okay, we do know that ongoing studies are underway, and as we get results, we will share it with our listeners and the general public. But we thank you indeed, Professor Dhai, for your time. Thank you for sharing, and you have yourself a great day. Keep safe, please, and have a good day indeed.
Thank you so much. And goodbye.
That was Professor Dhai. Goodbye to you as well. Specialist ethicist at the Office of the President and CEO of the South African Medical Research Council, also a member of the Academy of Science South Africa, which brings us to 9:33 exactly, right here on News and Views on Salam Media.
These days, I'm more